So mimi natoa shamba au utoe chapa. Just that. These boys, Your Excellency, unaona wamevaa wote dish na county. It's just symbolizing how they help us in the county. Whenever we have cleanups that we do at night, wanatokea. Wanatusaidia kwa environmental issues, kupanda miti, and wamejitolea because they understand what public service is, and they will never let you down. Your Excellency, it's been an unlikely journey, but we've rekindled the hopes of so many that if you believe in yourself, if you're diligent, if you focus, you can achieve what your heart sets its mind to. And it's a lesson to all our young people in this country, because there's been a lot of despair. There's been a lot of depression, and even politicians taking advantage of the sad situation of our young people. We are telling our young people, just like Nairobi United, God has a plan for you. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, for a hope and for a future." And when I took this team, I told them, God has a plan for your life. Let us not allow discouragement, negativity. Siku hizi magazeti yote wana compete gani kuna headline mbaya. Let it not get to you. Your success should show you that even in your life, in your family, in your business. Your Excellency, hapa kuna vijana kama huyu Shuba. Huyu nilimpata nikiwa mbunge 2015. Akwambia pale ametoka na pale amefika. He inspires so many young people from Kayole and across the city. Many of them, if they give you their story, that is the language we want our young people to understand. So vijana wetu, hata mkienda mtaani, let people know that there is hope, that there is a bright future. Mdosi wetu anawapenda. Marais wangapi wanakutana na timu ya ball? He is doing so much for our young people. Jukusot mambo ya vijana na youth wa Kenya haifanyikangi on its own. If you look at housing, it's deliberate. You must be deliberate. Zile serikali ambazo zilikuwa hazikuwa deliberate kwa mambo ya vijana. It was lip service. But in terms of, look at housing agenda. Almost 320,000 young people say wako na job. Hapa pia kuna watu wanajua mambo ya housing. If you look at kazi majuu, vijana wengi wameenda majuu, hata nyinyi mnawajua. Si ni kweli? Ukiangalia mambo ya digital jobs, it is deliberate. So people are trying to make it look like shida ya vijana imeanza 2022. Vijana wamekuwa kwa dimanga miaka mingi. Si ni kweli? Tumekuwa kwa dimanga, Your Excellency, but we've never seen a leader who is deliberate, focused, intentional on the issues of young people. For that, Your Excellency, we salute you. And we thank you. And we thank you. So, shika wa vijana, hii ni timu yako. Na unajua, mimi ni governor kwa sasa tu. Na naomba kwa majaliwa ya Mungu nirudi pia mimi 2 term 2027. Si ndio? Bado nitakuwa patron. Lakini boss, 2032 utakuwa umemaliza urais. I will hand over patron kwako, mimi pia nitatafuta kazi nyingine hiyo time. So wakati hiyo tunaweza exchange, ni kuachie patron afu wengine Mungu mbele. Kwa hayo mengi nataka tumkaribishe rais na ile wimbo yetu. Wapi? Kuja. Rais akaribishwe vizuri.
Asante. Thank you very much. Nairobi United hoye. Hoye. Hamjambo. Assalamu alaikum. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Asanteni sana. Wacha nichukue nafasi hii kwanza niwakaribishe katika makao haya ya Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Karibuni. Mimi naelewa pia kwamba nyinyi ni watu wa shughuli mingi. na kupata nafasi ya kunitembelea pengine inaweza kuwa ngumu. Lakini mkipata nafasi kidogo, mnakaribishwa tena. Kwanza mimi nataka niseme pongezi, congratulations. Ushindi mlioupata, mumenieleza ya kwamba ni kwa sababu ya Mwenyezi Mungu na bidii na usaidizi wa patron wenu na wale wengine wote, coaches na mnasema anaitwa kochare, makochare na wale wengine wote. Na leo hapa tumekuja kusherehekea ushindi wenu, and I want to say in a very, very special way to Team Nairobi United, congratulations. You have exceeded all expectations. There are many people who did not imagine that a small team with no big brand name could win these championships. But because Kenya is a country of the art of the possible, you have won, and I can say from the experience and from the discussions I have had and from the history, this win is very well deserved. And as was said by the good gentleman who spoke in perfect Kiswahili, you went, you tried for one, God gave you a blessing of two. So you have 2 cups here which you have won out of your commitment, your dedication, your hard work. And I want to say, I know success doesn't come easy. It takes effort. It takes commitment. It takes trust in God. And it takes teamwork for there to be success. And I want to encourage you to continue to be each other's brother, each other's keeper, work together as a team, as was explained by your patron, that you are now a family, and build the bonds of family, of friendship, of unity amongst yourselves. Together, that is what will guarantee you not just the success that you have achieved, but even the Premier League, by God's grace, next year. From very humble beginnings, today you're here at State House. And I often get people who tell me that I have lowered the standards of State House. And the accusation I get is that those who used to come here, whenever they come here now, they cannot recognize anybody. Because the people who nowadays come here are ordinary people who have no status, who have no stature, who have no brand, who have no big names. You know? Wananiambia ya kwamba ati nimeteremsha sana standard ya State House. Ati wale walikuwa wanakuja hapa watu ambao wamejulikana, watu wenye pesa mingi, former governor this, former sijui nani huko. Ati siku hizi wakikuja hapa State House, ati hawajui, hawatambui wale watu wanakuja huko siku hizi. Ni watu tu reja, watu tu kawaida, watu hawana. Lakini ni kwa sababu hata mimi ni mtu tu kawaida, nimefika hapa kwa mapenzi ya Mungu. Kuna watu walikuwa na matatizo sana, hata saa hizi bado hawajaamini mimi ni rais, bado wanahangaika. Si ndio? Lakini Mungu ni nani bwana? Mimi ndio niko hapa kwa sasa. Wajipange. Mimi ndio niko hapa kwa sasa kwa mapenzi ya Mungu, I'm here. Tunaelewana? So mimi nataka vile Sakaja amewaambiwa mujiamini. Si ndio? Mujiamini. Kwa sababu mkijiamini na muamini Mungu, nothing is impossible. Yale yote ambayo mmepangia, yale yote ambayo mmetarajia, Mungu atawawezesha bidii kwa kujitolea, by doing what you must. Kujituma. Usingoje mambo ya kupate nyumbani. You must step out. You must try again, and never give up. God will finally make it possible for you to get what you're looking for. So congratulations, my good friends. And you make us very, very proud. When I see the team, I try to catch up with some of your names. I could see that we have a national team here. A team of the Kenyan community. A team that is truly the face, the brand, and the architecture of Kenya. From all communities, from all faiths, people who come from different backgrounds, you have gelled into one formidable team that today we celebrate your success. And so it should be with our nation, So it should be with our nation. That is why I will stand firm to reject the politics of ethnicity and division and hate and the politics that creates divisions among us Kenyans. I will stand very firm. Yeah. We have a broad-based government today because I reached out to even people who we did not vote together, but because they are Kenyans. They belong to this country. And I want to tell you that the government of Kenya is big enough to accommodate every community and every region and every sector of our republic. The government of Kenya is big enough. But it is not big enough for those who have greed, who think it should just be them. It should just be our corner. It should just be our religion or our community or our sector. You will never get enough. But today I can confirm to you that the government of Kenya is big enough to accommodate every community, every religion, every sector, every county. And as president, I will make sure, by all means possible, by God's grace, to make sure that we unite this nation. We come together, build this nation together. Because that is the essence of patriotism and nationhood. That is how we move the country forward. And looking at you, you represent the best of Kenya, what Kenya can achieve when people come together. Many of us here have stories to tell of where they've been, how they have come along, what challenges they've come through, what difficulties they've been through. But today, we are a family. You people are a team. And together, you have won. And that is why we are celebrating here today. So, pongezi. As you have said, I made a policy decision that we are going to support sports as a government because Kenya is a great sporting nation. From ball games to athletics and everything in between. And that is why I made the decision that the sports fund is not going to be used to fund anything else as was happening in the past. It will just concentrate on sports. And it is the reason why we are doing more for our sportsmen. We are looking at better avenues to resource, to reward, and to build infrastructure for our sportsmen and women. Today, I can proudly announce to you that the last time we built an international stadium in Kenya is 40 years ago, in 1984. Now, we are building a 35 billion shilling stadium right here in Jamhuri. And by the way, it's going to be ready by December. So, mujipange, ndio muwe wa kwanza wa kucheza pale. And it's going to be the largest stadium we have in Kenya. Football-only stadium. Yeah? Football-only stadium here in Jamhuri. So, 60,000-seater stadium. And it's not just that stadium. We are, as you know, we are building a stadium in Kakamega. We've just completed one in Bungoma. We are building a stadium in Ruringu in Nyeri. We've completed renovations so that we can hand over the stadium in Meru. We have one in Tharaka Nithi. We are now completing the stadium in Moyale. We are building a stadium in Siaya, which we are about to put a canopy on it. And on and on and on and on. And we are building another 35 sports academies where we are going to have different ball games and sports in those sports academies that come with us a little field and track and other things and associated infrastructure, because we are a sporting nation as Kenya, and therefore we must focus on how we encourage, how we build the talents of the young people of Kenya in sports and in the creative economy in general, to make sure that that talent becomes commercialized, helps and assists young people find opportunities to work, find opportunities for investment, and build a whole of society momentum using sports and other avenues to drive our country, Kenya, forward. So, good people, I am very proud to have a partner in Sakaja, the governor of Nairobi. Thank you very much, Governor. And thank you very much for standing in the gap for these young people. You know, very few people can deploy their resources, you know, to support others, to work with others, to lend a hand for the people who need it, and to work with teams like the way my good brother Sakaja has, especially around where young people are. So I am very proud of this. When he requested me that there is Nairobi United that won the FKF Cup, I told him without a doubt, I'll create time. We must look out. And I want to tell the young people of our nation, the young people of our nation are the greatest resource we have. It is the reason why I have put more resources in making sure that our young people are educated, they are trained. We have increased the budget on education by 120 billion to make sure that there are teachers, there is sufficient resources to make sure that our young men and women in primary school, in secondary school, in our universities get the best education they can get, because that resource of human capital, especially the young people of our nation, is the greatest asset we have as a nation. It is the reason why we are also, you know, working on the curriculum to make sure that those who are good in academics get an opportunity to be their best. Those who are good in sports also get the opportunity to be their best. And those who are good in the creative economy can also be the best that they can be. And we continue to support education, training in all its, you know, spectra, from sports to the creative economy, all the way to academics because we have talents in all those spaces. It is also the reason why, apart from spending 650 billion shillings every year in the education and training of the young people of Kenya, for the first time, let me say it again, for the first time in the history of Kenya, we have a coherent plan and program of how to create opportunities for work for the young people of our nation. I say this without fear of any contradiction, because there has never been a clear plan on how we are creating jobs, a plan that is intentional, that is deliberate on how we create job opportunities. When I rolled out the program on housing, many people were asking me, what the hell about houses? What is this about houses? Who doesn't have a house? We had all manner of debates around housing. Let me tell you, it wasn't so much about the jobs. It wasn't so much about the houses. It was so much about the jobs. Today, I can tell the nation that because of the housing program, for which I have paid a very high political price, there are 320,000 people, young people, working, engineers, quantity surveyors, architects, plumbers, electricians, masons, carpenters, name them, working in our housing program. And not just housing, in the markets we are building, in the hostels we are building. And I am very proud that today there are people who earn money, who have a wage to look after their families. They have food on the table, and they are making progress. It is deliberate, it is intentional. I can also tell you today, because we have rolled out our digital jobs program across Kenya. I was in Ruiru the other day at the Tatu City, where CCI has given opportunities to 5,000 people, young people, in one building to earn money, to have a job. And they are on and on and on. Just last month, Teleperformance, the largest BPO company in the world, has just opened up an office in Nairobi. And it is because of our intentional and deliberate plan to create jobs for young people in the country, because we cannot spend 650 billion every year to educate our young people and train them if we don't have a commensurate plan on what they do when they get out of school. I can now tell you that we have close to 180,000 young people working on the digital jobs platform. And that platform is growing. We are now expanding it to every ward, in every constituency, in every county in the Republic of Kenya, because we can create more jobs. We can create more commerce. We can do more enterprise and more business using our digital jobs platform. And we are doing it intentionally. We were supplying internet, or fiber optic for that matter, using cables before. It took long, more expensive, but we have now developed a different way of deploying fiber optic around Kenya, using the transmission lines of Kenya Power. We are doing more, we are doing better, we are doing faster, and it is my intention that every ward in Kenya will have an ICT hub where between 300 and 500 young people can monetize their talents, can earn money, can do business, can have a job working for companies in Kenya, companies outside Kenya, because we need the young people of Kenya engaged. I can also tell you today proudly that we have streamlined our export of labor strategy. We have streamlined the program of Kenyans being able to work outside Kenya. And it's not just working outside Kenya. Ask any global company. They will tell you the best human capital, the best global workforce is the Kenyan workforce. That is why you find Kenyans everywhere. In every capital in our continent, in every major city globally, you have Kenyans because we have the best human capital. Less supervision, very hardworking, good English, very disciplined. That is what defines our nation. And I can tell you today that we have streamlined the space around National Employment Authority. We have removed the crooked people who are taking money away from young people and taking them to do odd jobs. We have removed all the bad behavior in that space. We have signed bilateral labor agreements to guarantee that every Kenyan who goes to work outside Kenya is safe and does the job for which they applied. And as a result, for the last 2 years, and those who are asking, they want to know the names, they can go to National Employment Authority. For the last 2 years, we have placed 400,000 Kenyans in different parts of the world to work, earn money, and repatriate that money to come back home. And my intention is to make sure that 1 million Kenyans in the next 2 to 3 years will be working outside Kenya. Because we are a global workforce. We have the talent, we have the knowledge, we have the expertise that we can deploy to grow our nation. And the good news, do you know how much money Kenyans working outside Kenya send home to Kenya every year? Now it's going to be, by this year, $5 billion. $5 billion. That is the wealth of our nation. That is the talent. That is the effort. That is the expertise of our Kenyan people. And therefore, it breaks my heart when people who have no plan for the young people of our nation take them to the streets, abuse them in the streets, misuse them in the streets, and we end up with mayhem, rape, destruction of property, destruction of businesses, because there are people who have no plan for the young people of our nation. They have no known or credible plan. They sing about the young people of Kenya. They talk about Gen Zs because they want to use them politically. I want to tell those people who have no plan, shame on them. They should be ashamed of themselves that they have taken advantage of our young people, taken them to the street, and misuse them. And today, our nation has a blot, you know. Biashara zimechomeka, watu wameharibiwa mali, tumepoteza maisha ya vijana wetu, tuko na majeraha na mambo haya mengine yote. Why? Because there are people who have no plan. They cannot tell the young people what they should be doing. I want to tell the young people of my nation, I want to tell the young people of Kenya, there are opportunities for work. There are opportunities for business. There are opportunities for you to make a difference in your life, don't accept to be taken to advantage of by leaders, people who have no plan for your lives. And I say that without fear of any contradiction. I want to challenge those who today say they support the street protests. What is your plan? What is your plan for these young people? William Ruto, I have one plan, credible, tested, working. I have 320,000 young people working in my housing program. Engineers, architects, plumbers, quantity surveyors, carpenters, masons, working. I have 180,000 young people working in our digital jobs platform in different, both in special economic zones, in ICT hubs, in Jitume centers. I have 400,000 young people placed in different jobs in many parts of the world, and the list is going on. Our housing program is expanding opportunities. We are at 150,000 houses. We will be at 700,000 houses. We are at 320 jobs today. We are going towards 1 million jobs in the next 2-3 years. And so is the space around digital jobs. And so is our export of labor. What is your plan, you people who are taking our young people to the street? Tulizane ukweli? Yes. I want my plan to be tested on employment of young people, on dealing with the issues of young people. I want my plan to be tested against that of my competitors. Yeah? Because they don't have a plan. If you ask them, they don't have a plan. They will tell you kasongo, oh, sijui nini, nothing. Sijui kama naelewana. Tuko pamoja? And so, I want to say this, and I'm very proud to be in the middle of young people. People who are wamejituma, you know, people who have come from different backgrounds, gone through difficulties, they've gone through challenges, but they've stayed focused, they've stayed on course, and today we are celebrating Nairobi United. Yeah? Kweli? Yes. Not because you had it easy. Not because you came from a better background. Not because you have more education than others. But because you have committed yourselves to a course. You have stayed on the course. You have withstood different challenges. You've gone through difficult times, but you didn't give up. You were always there, pressing on. Today, we are celebrating Nairobi United. Your success. Look at what you have achieved. You know, you have defeated Tusker. You have defeated KCB. Do you know how big KCB is? They made 17 billion Kenya shillings this year. How much money did your team? You know? So it's not about the money. Yeah? If it was about the money, you wouldn't be here. Right? So you've defeated KCB. You've defeated Kogalo. You know? Gor Mahia. You know? The legend of football in Kenya. Your team, since 2018, just the other day. Right? But you're here. Why? Because mumejituma, you are determined, you have refused to give up, you are on it, you're focused, and that is why you have succeeded. That is the spirit. That is the spirit. That is the spirit of what makes winners and what makes success. That is the spirit. So I am very proud to be associated with this team. Congratulations, my very best wishes. And I just want to confirm to you that we will continue to expand the space around infrastructure, you know. The other day, I saw some of the criminals. They tried to go and break into Talanta. They tried to break into some of our stadia. I mean, surely, what has a stadia got to do with a demonstration? Surely. How is a demonstration ending up in rape, destruction of property, destruction of business? What is that? What kind of a protest? When the law says whoever wants to protest, whoever wants to demonstrate must be peaceful and must be unarmed. That is the standard for any demonstration. But surely we need to ask ourselves as the people of Kenya, how is it that a demonstration or protest ends up in death, in rape, in destruction of property, in destruction of business? And is that really what we want to do as a nation? I dare say no. That's not what it is. And that's why I have said we must all respect the law, irrespective of who we are, irrespective of what we believe in. We have a nation to keep. And for now, I am the custodian of that constitution, and I will make sure that I will defend the constitution of the Republic of Kenya. Tuko pamoja, my friends? Yes. Until somebody else takes over, I am here, and I will make sure that hii mchezo tunawachana naye. So the bus. The bus. You know, I have experience in buying buses because I have bought so many buses. Sasa mimi naona hii ya Sakaja hii sijaelewa hii ni gani. Sasa nitachukua lessons kidogo nijue hii ni gani. So lakini the bus you will get. Sasa nitapanga hapo kwa bus. Unajua biashara kubwa mimi nafanya, mimi ni nauza mayai. Uko na group inafanya hiyo Uko kwangu at the farm, if you come, I'm a chicken farmer. And I'm very proud of it, by the way. I'm very proud. It's the best business that I have. Kuuza mayai. So, na iko na biashara. Iko na pesa. Niwaambie. Ukitaka tips naweza kuwapatia. I have recruited many friends of mine when they come to my farm and they see mtu anasema, "Ai, nataka wacha niende nianze kidogo." Hata huyu nilimpeleka huko. So, unajua zamani tulikuwa tunaagiza mayai kutoka South Africa. Unaona ile upuzi iko hii dunia? I mean surely mayai anatoka South Africa inaweka kwa ndege na sisi tunang'ethia tu hapa tuna hapana. So tuko hapo na sasa tunaendelea kuwa wengi kutengeneza hiyo biashara. That's how you grow a nation. That's how you create food security. Si ndio? So nitaangalia vile nitafanya hiyo biashara yangu itasaidia, nitawapangia basi. Nitawapangia basi. Sawa sawa. Alafu huyo jamaa alisema niwe investor. Kwa group zenu 5. Okay? So lakini hamjanipatia investment plan. Mko nayo mpaka dividends. Haya, basi nitatafuta milioni 10 niweke kwa hiyo biashara. At least milioni 2, si ndio? Lakini sasa dividend lazima, please. Musifanye tukakosana. Waeleze vizuri. Na niko na askari wengi mkiniletea na naweza kuwaletea noma sana. Sawa. So tutafanya hivyo alafu tutapangana. Sawa sawa boss. Very good Bwana Maina. Alafu ile mambo ingine nafikiri Sakaja atasort. Tanieleza. Nimekubali mimi nafanya kazi na governor wetu hapa, tuko na it's doing a wonderful job. Mpigeni makofi. Tunashughulika na mambo ya barabara za Nairobi. I have already cleared Bwana Sakaja from next week tutengeneze barabara. Zingine barabara zilikuwa zimekwama hapa. You can now see the constructions are going on around the city of Nairobi because vile governor anasema lazima Nairobi work, it must work. Na haiwezi kuwork kama hakuna barabara ya kupitia. So namshughulikia kumsaidia kupanga mambo ya barabara. Vile vile niko na mradi mkubwa. Unajua hapa Nairobi tuko na Nairobi River. Hii Nairobi River imekuwa sio river, ni Nairobi sewage. Sababu badala ya river ile inateremka huko sio maji, ni uchafu, ni oils imewekwa huko ndani, ni maji taka iko kule ndani. And I committed myself that Nairobi being the United Nations Environmental Program headquarters, meaning that Nairobi is the capital of environment globally, or the global capital of environment, we must make Nairobi clean. So, governor anashughulika na kupanga vile tutaokota takataka, tumalizane nayo, and I am supporting him. Lakini nilimwambia Nairobi River, mimi nitakusaidia, nitaosha Nairobi River. So, I have started the program. Mutaona vile Nairobi River itabadilika. Sikimi, na nimesema by tarehe 15 January 2027, I will have finished hiyo kazi. So, mutaona saizi Nairobi hapa, we are cleaning the nini, tutaweka gabion vizuri, tutaweka maji, mpaka iwe maji ya Nairobi River, it will be clean. Na tuweke samaki huko ndani. Na ikae sawa sawa. And alongside it, tutajenga pia social housing, infrastructure, tutaweka mahali ya vijana kucheza mpira, tutaweka mahali ya recreation, tutaweka footpaths ya kutembea, so that we can have a city. It is one of the commitments that I have made so that we can change the course of our city and make Nairobi work. Sindio? So, inaanza kule karibu Kikuyu, all the way mpaka Ruai. So that program is going on, and already I am mobilizing. We already have 20,000 young people working there. From next week or the week after, we are adding another 20,000 kufanya hiyo kazi hapa tu Nairobi, just to make sure that we clean up the city, we change the face of Nairobi, and we take it forward. Tunaelewana my friends? So, unajua, transformation ya nchi sio kazi rahisi. Ni kama kuzalisha mtoto. Iko makelele, zingine mama kujifungua iko nduru mingi, mimi nasikiaga tu wa mama. So, ndio hii kelele ya hapa saa zingine ni kwa sababu driving transformation is not easy. But without transformation, you achieve nothing. You get stuck, you mark time, and you go backward sometimes. So I am committed to making sure that we change our country and we take the country forward. I know we have lunch, and you are wondering, huyu jamaa atamaliza saa ngapi? Hii lunch imengoja sana. So ndio? So wacha niseme asanteni sana. Vile niliwaeleza, najua mko na shughuli. Na sio kidogo. Nyinyi ni watu wa kuhustle. Lakini mkipata kana nafasi kidogo, tafadhali mnitembelee tena. Sindio? So asanteni sana, Mungu awabariki sana. I wish you well. Nyinyi na familia zenu na watoto wenu na majamaa zenu, mwapelekee salamu nyingi. na baraka nyingi, na katika maombi yenu yote Mungu awasaidie, awajibu na awapatie yale yote mmemuomba. Thank you very much and God bless you. Thank you.
President Ruto says we have no plan. We have a plan to send him home. It's a very important plan in the country. We have plans to restore the dignity of the payslip. We have plans to restore the health systems. We have plans to restore the education system. We have planned to have justified taxation and proper utilization of collected taxes. But all those things we have plans to stop abductions. We have plans to stop extrajudicial killings. All those things, Michelle, cannot happen when William Ruto is in office because he's the one who has messed the country. All his plans are responsible for the shit we are in as a country, for the hole we are in as a country. For those plans to take place, plan number one is William Ruto must exit the space, and then all the other plans can work. And that is why he says we have no plan, because the plan that we have is to exit him. Ordinarily, he wouldn't like it, and I don't want to blame me for it. But I want to say we have plans, but it's a prerequisite for all these plans to work, for us to stop corruption, for us to stop tribal appointments, for us to restore the dignity of the payslip, for us to restore education, the university financing model that can work, for us to restore health care and make sure that things are working. President William Ruto must be sent home. That is our plan. That is a plan of Gen Z. Indeed, it's a plan by the people of Kenya. As we go around the country, I heard him today crying about one term. There's nothing he can do. Okay. That is the clarion call, one term. We must have reasonable taxation. Michelle, the housing levy. Nobody wants government to construct houses for you. That's not the work of government. The work of government, Michelle, is to do roads, water, electricity, sewage, and create a good environment by provision of security. It's not the work of government to build houses. Michelle, you'll build your own house, depending on your capacity and your ability, So we are taxing people money to go and build houses that they don't need. Nobody is interested in that housing program. So that one we are going to scrap. We are going to scrap. President Ruto says we have no plan. We have a plan to send him home.
What I'm about to say may sound insensitive, but this is the truth. Parliament is 2 kilometers from State House. For the first time since 1962, Parliament was overrun. What happened? How did we get here? Who knew what? We have swept too much under the carpet. It's now time to lift that carpet and be truthful in the way in which we deal with the country. Whether we start with Musandu, we come to Jacob Juma, we come to Kenei, we come to Rivayala and everything else. Let these things be investigated by an open public inquest.
Ever since. What the hell can this Rigathi Gachagua do that he can take power through an orthodox means? Gachagua must be arrested as early as tomorrow.
Why is the country angry?
And I will not stay silent, Rigathi Gachagua. Hiyo supermarket ambayo imeharibiwa jana ni supermarket imeajiri watu wa Embu.
Maduka kuvunjwa na tunasema yote ikome, na yule naibu rais wetu wa zamani ambaye aningatulia kwa ofisini kwa kufukuzwa akamatwe, apelekwe mahakamani.
Hello and welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Siasa 254, your number one Kenyan YouTube political channel where we unpack Kenyan's biggest headlines. Now, on Sunday, 7th July 2025, hours just before the country marked the historic Sabasaba Day, there came a shocker, ladies and gentlemen. Raila Amolo Odinga, the face of Kenya's opposition struggles for over 3 decades now, stood before the press and before the cameras and made a bold.
President Ruto says we have no plan. We have a plan to send him home. It's a very important plan in the whole matrix.
And then what?
We have plans to restore the dignity of the payslip. We have plans to restore the health systems. We have plans to restore the education system. We have planned to have justified taxation and proper utilization of collected taxes. But all those things we have plans to stop abductions.
What I'm about to say may sound insensitive, but this is the truth. Parliament is 2 kilometers from State House. For the first time since 1962, Parliament was overrun. What happened? How did we get here? Who knew what? We have swept too much under the carpet. It's now time to lift that carpet and be truthful in the way in which we deal with the country. Whether we start with Musandu, we come to Jacob Juma, we come to Kenei, we come to Rivayala and everything else. Let these things be investigated by an open public inquest.
Ever since the former Interior Cabinet Secretary, Fred Matiang'i, made his 2027 presidential ambitions public, the political heat in the country has escalated to an extent that William Samoei Ruto and his camp has not been able to hold back. They have consistently dragged Matiang'i's name into the murky water of Rivayala killings.
Wakaambua kazi yenu badala ya kuchukua watoto wa watu kama unamshuku na kumpeleka kotini, walikuwa wanapiga risasi wanatupa kwa mto Yala. Rais William Ruto wakati alifika ametupilia mbali kikosi hicho, sababu yeye ni mtu anaamini Mungu na anajua maisha iko na dhamani.
Trying to tie his name to the extrajudicial killings that happened during the Ruto era. For those of you who have forgotten what happened during the Yala killings, bodies with signs of torture were found in River Yala.
Between July 2021 and January 2022, police reports show that tens of Kenyans were abducted, tortured and murdered, with their decomposing bodies later discovered in different parts of the country. No words could explain the monstrous killings.
The body had some visible tortures.
Wameuawa kifo ya unyama vibaya sana.
That 5-year-old Peter Mutuku and that 6-year-old Philemon Chepkonyi were victims of the killings.
Alikuwa ametoa ulimi like this.
Hatukuwa tukiexpect tunapata bradhangu kwa moka.
Their remains were among 36 bodies retrieved from River Yala.
It looks like they were eliminated somewhere out of the county.
Body inawekwa kwa gunia, inashonwa mzuri.
Some of them are maroon, having their eyes closed.
The families have since buried their kin, and no one seems to be giving Kenyans an answer on the underworld dealing behind the unfortunate killings.
I do miss him every day. Bado inatuumizanga sana. Ni uchungu.
Haji to come out clearly and tell Kenyans why they are killing people in Nairobi and dropping people in River Yala.
It is estimated that over 60 bodies were dumped there. Residents at a time reported that pickups and probox could bring people at night and dump them there, others in sacks. That's how bad the situation was during that time. But now, ladies and gentlemen, in what seems to be a political retaliatory explosion, Fred Matiang'i has fired back to William Ruto, vowing to expose what he called the faces behind some of Kenya's most controversial extrajudicial assassinations.
When you wake up in the morning, when you saw the things you saw yesterday, how can you assume that we don't have a problem in the country? Tuko na shida. And the sooner we all accepted that we have a problem, the better. Tuko na shida, let us find solution to this. You know, going around and assuming that everything is fine and dandy, and then now we spend time, managing government by blogging. It cannot work like that. We cannot have government by blogging. Let's focus on the issues that we need to deal with. Let us address the lives of our people, and this issue should be investigated. We have swept too much under the carpet. It's now time to lift that carpet and be truthful in the way in which we deal with the country. Whether we start with Musandu, we come to Jacob Juma, we come to Kenei, we come to Rivayala and everything else. Let these things be investigated by an open public inquest.
Like those ones of Sergeant Kibuyekon Kenei, an AP police officer who was attached to the office of the then Vice President of the Republic of Kenya, William Samoei Ruto, and also the murder of Chris Musando, an IEBC official, and in this case, the director of ICT, the person who held the voters register and the fingerprints to the register machines. He also vowed to expose the faces behind the killings of a businessman from Bungoma, Jacob Juma. Ladies and gentlemen, before we move too deep into explaining why this move by Fred Matiang'i could be too dangerous politically for William Samoei Ruto, allow me to invite you to subscribe to this channel. Take a moment, hit the subscription button, smash the notification bell, and press the like button on this video. By doing like that, ladies and gentlemen, you help me to reach a wider audience. And for those who have already subscribed to the channel, I say thank you. For without you guys, this channel could not be where it is at the moment. Sergeant Kipyegon Kenei was a disciplined administration police officer and the head of security personnel at William Samoei Ruto's office, then the vice president at Arambe House Annex. He was found murdered in his home, in his own house, in Imara Daima in Nairobi. His death initially was investigated as a suicide case, but later on, the then DCI George Kinoti found out that it was a brutal murder.
We have endeavored to give some illustrations of how the body was found and the possible way we could have expected in the event this was suicide. This was the scene, the way it was found consistent with the allegation that he committed suicide.
Ladies and gentlemen, before his murder, just a day before the day he was killed, Sergeant Kenei was supposed to appear before the DCI to record a statement on the appearance of the then CS4 Sports, Rashid Echesa, who was implicated in a 40 billion arms scandal that also involved the office of the Deputy President. Kenei was to record a statement a day before the DCI. It was assumed Kenei knew a lot in this case and his elimination was to be. And then comes now the case of Jacob Juma, a vocal businessman and a very fierce government critic who had on several occasions through his social media posts made it clear that William Ruto was about to leave. On May 6, 2016, his bullet-riddled body was found lying in a pool of blood along Ngong.
Mei tarehe 5 katika barabara ya Lenana saa 3:30 za usiku. Milio ya risasi yasikika kwa mujibu wa baadhi ya watu waliokuwepo. Dakika chache baadaye, gari aina ya Mercedes Benz nambari ya usajili KAL 007W napatikana pembeni mwa barabara. Ndani ya gari mwili wa mfanyabiashara mashuhuri Jacob Juma Lukoba mwenye umri wa miaka 45 ukiwa na alama 7 za risasi.
He died at a time when he was exposing serious corruption scandals and political betrayals within his relatives and the opposition at that time blamed senior government officials for the death of Jacob Juma and Ruto's service investment. Finally comes the day of Christmas. The man who was entrusted with Kenya's road IT infrastructure. He was found murdered days before the 2027 election. His killing raised a lot of red flags on election rigging and the chilling elimination of election result errors.
The murder of the son was rightly correct. It's a cold crime. I are partners in this murder.
Fred Matiang'i, who was the Interior Cabinet Secretary during that time, and with access to security and intelligent classified files, is now threatening to spill the beans and bring the truth to light. If there is any killings, any information that was given about these killings, the Matiang'i is about to spill the beans. But what does this really mean?
President Ruto says we have no plan. We have a plan.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Siasa 254, our #1 Kenyan YouTube political channel where we unpack Kenyan's biggest headlines. Now, on Sunday, 7th July 2025, hours just before the country marked the historic Sabasaba Day, there came a shocker, ladies and gentlemen. Raila Amolo Odinga, the face of Kenyan's opposition struggles for over 3 decades now, stood before the press and before the cameras and made a bold promise. He will join the people the next day at Kamkunji grounds for a peaceful demonstration during the Sabasaba Day. A symbolic return to the roots, a return to where it all began, ladies and gentlemen, in 1990, July 7th, when Raila Amolo Odinga and Kenneth Matiba, Charles Rubia, and others faced the iron grip of the then administration of Moi and demanded for the multi-party democracy in the country. But when the sun rose on Monday, the D-Day for the Sabasaba Day, the same ground where the fire of resistance was once lit stood empty. Raila Amolo Odinga did not turn up, not at 9 a.m., not at midnoon, not during midday, not late midday or in the evening as he had promised.
Na wakati tumeweza kutoka kule juu upande wa Nairobi kule ndani, we were coming here because we were expecting to find a lot of people at this area, but right now we can see there's nobody here in this area. Ground iko very clear, totally clear. I think ni njia moja pia kuonyesha kwamba pia labda kuna vile kamechezwa hapa labda kuna vile kamechezwa hapa ya kwamba gate yote imefungwa, hakuna mahali pa kuaccess kuingia huku ndani. Imefungwa kila mahali, ya kwamba hata wananchi wa kawaida hakuna mwenye anakuruhusiwa kuingia huku ndani, na hata vile inasemekana kwamba labda kuna function fulani ambayo labda itaendelea ikiendelea katika hii sehemu. Unajua kama kuna sehemu ambayo kuna function imepangwa kuendelea, unapata kwamba kumetengenezwa vizuri, viti zimewekwa, vitu kama hizo, lakini huku haionyeshi ya kwamba labda kutakuwa na kitu chochote pale.
Tongongudu Special Economic Zone ambayo tumeongea miaka nyingi. Sasa tumepata waegezaji wa kujenga viwanda. Hii Ijumaa hii hapa katika poti yetu ya Mombasa tunakuja kuweka sahihi na benki.
There, ladies and gentlemen, with the cameras flashing and the journalists watching, Raila Amolo Odinga gave what Kenyans are now calling a lame excuse.
Hii Tongongudu ambayo tumeongea miaka nyingi. Tongongudu Special Economic Zone ambayo tumeongea miaka nyingi. Sasa tumepata waegezaji wa kujenga viwanda. Hii Ijumaa hii hapa katika poti yetu ya Mombasa tunakuja kuweka sahihi na benki ya Afri Exim Bank pesa shilingi bilioni 30 ya kwanza ya kuanzisha miradi na viwanda Tongongudu, ndio vijana wa hapa Mombasa wapate ajira, tuondoe uchochole, tuondoe umaskini, tupange ajira ya vijana wa Kenya, tukianza na Changamwe na Mombasa. Mnanielewa wangwana? Watu wa Mombasa mnanielewa? Mimi niliwaambia ya kwamba nikikuwa rais, ile mambo ya operation ya port ilikuwa imepelekwa Nairobi, nitarudisha Mombasa. Na hiyo nilifanya mara ya kwanza. Mara ya pili sasa, haitoshi operation ya port peke yake kusukuma Mombasa mbele. Lazima tuongeze viwanda, na ndio sababu hiyo Ijumaa sisi tunakuja kuweka sahihi hapa pesa ya kuanzisha viwanda hapa Tongongudu, ndio tuweze kuhakikisha kwamba poti ya Mombasa inakaa kama port zingine za kimataifa sehemu zingine za dunia. Changamwe, mnanielewa? Jambo la mwisho, tulikubaliana na nyinyi na niliwaambia maneno ya ardhi, mashamba ambayo imesumbua pwani miaka yote. Watu wa pwani wakawa maskwota, watu wa pwani wakawa hawana title deed, hawana makao, hawana chao. Mimi niliwaambia hilo tatizo tutalitatua. Sasa basi, tumekwisha kubaliana na viongozi wenu, akiwemo Ali Hassan Joho hapa ambaye ni waziri wangu sasa, akiwemo ndugu yangu Salim Mvurya ambaye ni waziri wetu sasa, akiwemo Spika Bwana Amazon Kingi, wakiwemo magavana wote. Tumetoa pesa bilioni 1.5 kwa mambo ya kununua ardhi kutoka absentee landlords, ndio wale wanaoishi kama maskota Mombasa hii na pwani, tuweze kuwapatia hati miliki badala ya kuwa maskota, wawe wenyewe na wawe wenyeji, na hiyo ardhi hiwe yao, na tuondoe uskota, watu wa pwani waishi kama Wakenya wengine wanavyoishi. Kama hatua hiyo ya kuhakikisha kwamba kila Mkenya ako na hati miliki ya mahali anakoishi, leo hapa tunatoa title deeds 450 ya watu wa Changamwe. Kuna wananchi hapa wataenda nyumbani leo na hati miliki ya kwao, na nyinyi muliosalia pia, na nyinyi mambo yenu iko jikoni, na hivi karibuni tutarudi hapa tena mpaka tuhakikishe kwamba kila mwananchi anapata ardhi na anapata makao na anapata hati miliki, ndio tuondoe uskwota, Kenya isonge mbele na pwani isonge mbele. Wapwani hoye! Wapwani hoye! Nataka munisikize kwa makini bwana. Mnanisikia? Pale nyuma pwani walijihisi ya kwamba wako nje, walijihisi wamebaguliwa, walijihisi wamewachwa nyuma. Mimi nawahakikishia hii serikali ambayo Hassan Joho yuko ndani, ambaye Mvurya yuko ndani, ambaye Kingi yuko ndani, na hawa magavana wote, hii ya broad based ndio serikali ambayo itahakikisha hamutabaguliwa tena, hamutawachwa nyuma tena, hamutakuwa nje tena. Sasa mtatembea kama Wakenya wengine. Tunakubaliana jameni? Tuendelee ama tuendelee? Mnasema tuendelee ama tuendelee? Hebu nione wanasema tuendelee. Basi sitaki kusema kuzidi hapo. Mimi nimefurahi sana kufika hapa. Nimekuja na title deeds ya ndugu zetu. Wacha nimuite naibu wa rais. Mumeona mnajua Profesa Kithure Kindiki? Huyu mungwana, huyu Profesa Kithure Kindiki ndio naibu wa rais wa Kenya, ambaye hana kisirani, hana ukabila, hana uchochezi, hana ujinga, ni mtu mungwana. Wapi nataka nimpatie aseme jambo moja.
Rais ametembea hapa kwa mambo ya title deed, kwa mambo ya housing, kwa mambo ya barabara. Na leo asubuhi wamefanya kikao na Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga kule ikulu ya Mombasa, na wamesema tuendelee pamoja kama serikali ya broad based. Mimi nataka niwaulize watu ya Changamwe, watu wa Mombasa, munakubali tuendelee na serikali ya broad based? Tuendelee pamoja, serikali ya William Ruto, na sisi sote tukuwa pale, hata huyu Simba akiwa pale, na Hassan Joho na Governor Abdulswamad. Wangapi wanasema tuendelee pamoja? Asante, wacha tusalamiwe na Mheshimiwa Simba. Wacha tusalamiwe na Mheshimiwa Mwinyi, mbunge wa Changamwe.
Raha. Ruto tunaye ama hatunaye? Haya, Mheshimiwa Rais, na itifaki zote zikizingatiwa, ni furaha kubwa kwa wewe kutembelea Changamwe. Nimekuwa nikikueleza watu wa Changamwe wanakupenda, na leo umejionea wewe mwenyewe, na wako tayari kuingia katika serikali yako wazima kabisa. Sisi hatuna mambo mengi, mambo yetu ni matatu kama ya Ruto. Jambo la kwanza, vijana, jambo la kwanza, tunataka Mheshimiwa Rais, ino serikali yako ifungue kazi hapo pote hapo, vijana wapate kazi. Jambo la pili, tuna shida na Kenya Pipeline, na nimekuomba utuwekee mkutano na makamu wa rais na viongozi wetu wa pwani tulizungumze hili swala, kwa sababu Kenya Pipeline ni shirika la serikali na sisi watu wa Changamwe tuko ndani ya serikali, ama sio? Kwa hivyo serikali tuongee, tutatue matatizo yetu, si sawa hiyo? La tatu, huyu Mheshimiwa Bomoa hapa ni MCA wa Airport Ward. Ndani ya wodi wake kuna watu 80,000. Hakuna shule hata moja ya serikali, hakuna hospitali ya serikali, hakuna anything ya serikali. Tukamwomba rais wetu kwa huruma zake atupatie ekari 5 pale Saratoga, na yeye amekubali. Ni raha basi raha. Bomoa, usipande juu ya gari usiku ukiambia watu kwa nini sisi hatujajengewa shule. Utajengewa. Asante. Alafu nimeongea, asante. Alafu tukaomba college yetu ipewe ardhi ile iliyoko pale kando, ili iwe na ardhi ya kutosha tuweze kupanua hiyo college. Na hayo matatu si mazito kwa Mheshimiwa Rais, na sitaki kuongeza zaidi ya hapo, isipokuwa kazi nimeomba tufunguliwe port pale, vibarua vipatikane. Ni sawa? Na gavana wetu afungue Mombasani yangu, si ndio? Basi namna hiyo. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Deputy Rais.
Haya, Changamwe hoye! Mimi nataka tunyoshe mkono namna hii. Wangapi wanakubaliana tuwe na broad based government katika hii Kenya? Hebu tunyoshe mikono namna hii tukubaliane. Wangapi wanakubaliana na mimi ya kuwa hatutaki ukabila katika hii Kenya? Your Excellency, mimi nataka niongee kitu kimoja tu. Asante. Mimi Your Excellency nataka niongee kitu kimoja. Pale katika kile kijiwe pale kuna bunge la wananchi. Hili bunge la wananchi laheshimika sana hapa. Mimi nilikuja hapa kuongea na hawa jamaa na nikawaelezea mambo ya SHA. Wakati nikiongea na wao mambo ya SHA, walitusikiza. Sahihi Mombasa inaongoza katika mambo ya kuregister watu mambo ya SHA katika Kenya nzima. Kisha nikawaambia, wakaniona ya kuamini chizi fresh. Nikawaambia tutaanza mtindo wa kidijitali katika hospitali zetu. Sasa hivi tumefika kiwango fulani na Mungu atanipa afya, nikishirikiana na wewe na mambo ya broad base
tutamaliza mambo ya digitization ya hospitali zetu. Sasa mimi nawauliza, na mimi nataka watu wa Changamwe munisikize, kwa sababu mtoto akizaliwa, kabla kuanza kutambaa, miguu kwanza upiga. Baada ya hapo miguu kidogo inacheza, anaanza kutambaa. Baada ya kumaliza kutambaa, mtoto anatembea. Baada ya kutembea, mtoto anaanza kwenda mbio. Kuna baadhi ya watu katika hii Kenya, watu ambao jinsia yao, mwili wao, roho yao haioni jambo lengine isipokuwa ukabila. Hii nchi, hawa watu walioko katika maeneo haya wametupigia kura kikweli kweli. Watu wa Changamwe walijitokeza wakatupigia kura kweli kweli, lakini hakuna aliyetupigiwa kura ili kazi yetu iwe ni kupigiwa matia gas, ili kazi yetu saa zote ni kusema ya kwa kila kitu tunapinga. Mulitupigia kura tuingie kwa serikali, sio? Ni kweli ama uongo? Ni kweli uongo? Ni kweli uongo? Kwa hivyo mimi nawaambia, leo tumekuwa na baba asubuhi, na amejua tunakuja hapa, ameniambia niwapatie salamu zake. Wapi salamu za Raila Amolo Odinga? Na baada ya salamu tutakaa tuongee, lakini sisi tunajua tunaenda katika mambo ya broad base, tuingie ndani. Asanteni sana.
Changamwe oye! Changamwe mambo! Muko ngangari? Hebu tusalimiane na mkono namna hii kule nyuma. Asante. Mheshimiwa, sawa. Nimekuona. Mheshimiwa Rais, mimi nataka niseme kwanza, natoa shukrani sana kwa kuwa hapa Changamwe, hasa katika mambo ya title deed, hii mahali watu wamesota miaka nenda miaka rudi, na sahii kama tunapata mashamba sisi tunashukuru. Si namna hiyo? Nataka niwaulize Wanachangamwe, nataka niwaulize, mimi nimeamua nifanye kazi kikamilifu, mchana, usiku, mvua, jua, mwezi, mawingu, na Mheshimiwa William Samoei Ruto. Na nataka niwaambie watu wa Changamwe na watu wa Mombasa na watu wa Pwani kwa jumla, sisi tumuunge Mheshimiwa Ruto mkono kikamilifu, ashikilie serikali. Baadaye akimaliza na sisi tujipange. Iko shida? Kama ni noma, kama ni mbaya, kama ni noma, kama ni mbaya, Mungu awabariki. Wapwani hoye! Changamwe hoye! Basi Mheshimiwa Rais na wananchi wote hapa, tunakushukuru sana rais wetu, kwa sababu leo umetembea Changamwe, na katika ule mfano wa kutatua matatizo ya mashamba umepeana titles hapa Changamwe, na hii pwani nzima mambo ya mashamba itatatuliwa. Mheshimiwa Rais, vile ambayo tuko ndani ya serikali hii ambayo sasa ni broad based government, sisi watu wa pwani tuna faida kubwa ya mambo ya maendeleo. Kwa hivyo tunawaomba wananchi wetu tuzidi kumuunga mkono rais wetu anapounganisha Wakenya, anapoleta umoja katika nchi. Ruto aendelee asiendelee? Aendelee asiendelee? Mungu awabariki, asanteni sana. Asante.
Mbunge wa Mvita. Huyu anaitwa Mheshimiwa Stanley Mudhama, mbunge wa Lamu West. Huyu ndio kiongozi katika bunge la Senate, na seneta wa Kilifi anaitwa Senator Stewart Bazayo. Na huyo ni jirani yetu, atatufungia Mazayo, sema kitu alafu Benzimba. Wacha tusalamie. Asante. Wacha tuko na speaker wetu anaitwa Harold, makofi. Wacha tufungiwe na Mheshimiwa Benzimba dakika moja. Mheshimiwa Badi Twali Badi, bunge wa Jomvu.
Mheshimiwa Rais, umekuja hapa kuja kutoa hati miliki za ardhi, lakini nataka nikueleze Mheshimiwa Rais, shida kubwa iliyoko hapa ni mabwenyenye ambao wanajitokeza, alafu watu wamekaa miaka na miaka katika sehemu zao, ati wanataka kuwafukuza. Leo nakueleza Mheshimiwa Rais, mimi kama Badi Garang di Mabiori mzee Fula Ngenge, nasema kupitia wewe William Ruto, wananchi wetu watakaa na hawatafukuzwa. Piga nduru ya William Ruto. Mheshimiwa Rais, kuna Kibarani, kuna kwa Punda, kuna kule Vikobani na kuna sehemu nyingi sana. Lakini leo nataka niseme, Rais leo ameonana na kinara wetu wa ODM wakati wa asubuhi, na wameshikana mkono vizuri, na kama vile rais alimshika mkono Raila Odinga kule Ethiopia, tunasema msiwachane na barabara iende mbele, na Raila na Ruto, nashani mkono wa Raila na Ruto, Raila na Ruto, Raila na Ruto. Mwisho kumalizia, Mheshimiwa Rais, umetutengezea barabara zaonekana. Changamwe hapa tumeona barabara, kwenda Jomvu tumeona barabara. Leo hii katika kitu muhimu, Mheshimiwa, watu wanasema Ruto ametengeneza barabara mpaka chini ya Mvungu, lakini jambo la muhimu, barabara zimetengenezwa, kila kitu kimetengenezwa, lakini hawa vijana wetu wanahitaji ajira ili wapate kuishi nao kama watu wengine. Mwisho nataka kusema, Mheshimiwa Rais, itakuunga mkono, tutafanya kazi na wewe, na 2027 10 bila break. Piga nduru ya Mheshimiwa Ruto. Asante, Mungu atubariki.
Your Excellency, kuna ma-MCA wetu. Wacha speaker aweze kuwataja.
Haya. Changamwe hoye! Changamwe. Kutoka Chahani, Mheshimiwa Franklin Makanga. tuko na Mheshimiwa Bernard Ogutu kutoka Changamwe, ndo hiyo. Tuko na Mama Leila hapa Kipevu. Tuko na Mheshimiwa Bomoa. Tuko na Mheshimiwa Nyundo. Na tuko na Mheshimiwa kutoka Ziwa la Ng'ombe Hamisi Nyota. Asanteni na Mungu awabariki.
The beneficiaries.
Basi tuanze hatimiliki. Naanza na Matano Said Menza.
President Ruto says we have no plan. We have a plan to send him home.
What I'm about to say may sound insensitive, but this is the truth. Parliament is 2 kilometers from State House. For the first time since 1962, Parliament was overrun. What happened? How did we get here? Who knew what? We have swept too much under the carpet. It's now time to lift that carpet and be truthful in the way in which we deal with the country. Whether we start with Musandu, we come to Jacob Juma, we come to Kenei, we come to Rivayala and everything else. Let these things be investigated by an open public inquest.
Ever since the former Interior Cabinet Secretary, Fred Matiang'i, made his 2027 presidential ambitions public, the political heat in the country has escalated to an extent that William Samoei Ruto and his camp has not been able to hold back. They have consistently dragged Matiang'i's name into the murky water of Rivayala killings.
Wakaambua kazi yenu, badala ya kuchukua watoto wa watu kama unamshuku na kumpeleka kotini, walikuwa wanapiga risasi, wanatupa kwa mto Yala. Rais William Ruto wakati alifika, ametupilia mbali kikosi hicho, sababu yeye ni mtu anaamini Mungu na anajua maisha iko na dhamani.
Trying to tie his name to the extrajudicial killings that happened during the Ruto era. For those of you who have forgotten what happened during the Yala killings, bodies with signs of torture were found in River Yala.
Between July 2021 and January 2022, police reports show that tens of Kenyans were abducted, tortured and murdered, with their decomposing bodies later discovered in different parts of the country. No words could explain the monstrous killings.
The body had some visible tortures.
Wameuawa kifo ya unyama vibaya sana.
That 5-year-old Peter Mutuku and that 6-year-old Philemon Chepkonyi were victims of the killings.
Alikuwa ametoa ulimi like this.
Hatukuwa tukiexpect tunapata brother wangu kwa moka.
Their remains were among 36 bodies retrieved from River Yala.
It looks like they were eliminated somewhere out of the county.
Body inawekwa kwa gunia, inashonwa mzuri.
Some of them are maroon, having their eyes closed.
The families have since buried their kin, and no one seems to be giving Kenyans an answer on the underworld dealing behind the unfortunate killings.
I do miss him every day. Bado inatuumizanga sana. Ni uchungu.
To Haji to come out clearly and tell Kenyans why they are killing people in Nairobi and trooping people in River Yala.
It is estimated that over 60 bodies were dumped there. Residents at a time reported that pickups and probox could bring people at night and dump them there, others in sacks. That's how bad the situation was during that time. But now, ladies and gentlemen, in what seems to be a political retaliatory explosion, Fred Matiang'i has fired back to William Ruto, vowing to expose what he called the faces behind some of Kenya's most controversial extrajudicial assassinations.
When you wake up in the morning, when you saw the things you saw yesterday, how can you assume that we don't have a problem in the country? Tuko na shida. And the sooner we all accepted that we have a problem, the better. Tuko na shida, let us find solution to this. You know, going around and assuming that everything is fine and dandy, and then now we spend time managing government by blogging. It cannot work like that. We cannot have government by blogging. Let's focus on the issues that we need to deal with. Let us address the lives of our people, and this issue should be investigated. We have swept too much under the carpet. It's now time to lift that carpet and be truthful in the way in which we deal with the country. Whether we start with Musandu, we come to Jacob Juma, we come to Kenei, we come to Rivayala, and everything else. Let these things be investigated by an open public inquest.
Like those ones of Sergeant Kibyekon Kenei, an AP police officer who was attached to the office of the then Vice President of the Republic of Kenya, William Samoei Ruto, and also the murder of Chris Musando, an IEBC official, and in this case, the director of ICT, the person who held the voters register and the fingerprints to the register machines. He also vowed to expose the faces behind the killings of a businessman from Bungoma, Jacob Juma. Ladies and gentlemen, before we move too deep into explaining why this move by Fred Matiang'i could be too dangerous politically for William Samoei Ruto, allow me to invite you to subscribe to this channel. Take a moment, hit the subscription button, smash the notification bell, and press the like button on this video. By doing like that, ladies and gentlemen, you help me to reach a wider audience. And for those who have already subscribed to the channel, I say thank you. For without you guys, this channel could not be where it is at the moment. Sergeant Kipyegon Kenei was a disciplined administration police officer and the head of security personnel at William Samoei Ruto's office, then the Vice President at Arambe House Annex. He was found murdered in his home, in his own house, in Imara Daima in Nairobi. His death initially was investigated as a suicide case, but later on, the then DCI George Kinoti found out that it was a brutal murder.
We have endeavored to give some illustrations of how the body was found and the possible way we could have expected in the event this was suicide. This was the scene, the way it was found, consistent with the allegation that he committed suicide.
Ladies and gentlemen, before his murder, just a day before the day he was killed, Sergeant Kenei was supposed to appear before the DCI to record a statement on the appearance of the then CS4 Sports, Rashid Echesa, who was implicated in a 40 billion arms scandal that also involved the office of the Deputy President then, William Samoei Ruto. Kenei was to record a statement a day before he was killed. It was assumed that Kenei knew a lot in this case and his elimination was to be permanent. And then comes now the case of Jacob Juma, a vocal businessman and a very fierce government critic who had on several occasions through his social media posts made it clear that William Ruto was about to eliminate him. On May 6th, 2016, his bullet-riddled body was found lying in a pool of blood along Ngong Road.
Mei tarehe 5 katika barabara ya Lenana saa 3:30 za usiku. Milio ya risasi yasikika kwa mujibu wa baadhi ya watu waliokuwepo. Dakika chache baadaye, gari aina ya Mercedes Benz nambari ya usajili KAL 007W lapatikana pembeni mwa barabara. Ndani ya gari mwili wa mfanyabiashara mashuhuri Jacob Juma Lukoba mwenye umri wa miaka 45 ukiwa na alama 7 za risasi.
He died at a time when he was exposing serious corruption scandals and political betrayals within the government. His relatives and the opposition at that time blamed senior government officials for the death of Jacob Juma and Ruto's name surfaced in this matter. Finally comes the death of Chris Musando, the man who was entrusted with Kenya's rural IT infrastructure. He was found murdered days before the 2027 general election. His killing raised a lot of red flags on election rigging and the chilling elimination of electoral election truth bearers.
The murder of Chris Musando, who was IBC's IT director, is a cold-hearted crime that goes very high up. IBC and Jubilee are partners in this murder.
Fred Matiang'i, who was the Interior Cabinet Secretary during that time, and with access to security and intelligence classified files, is now threatening to spill the beans and bring the truth to light. If there is any killings, any information that was hidden about these killings, then Matiang'i is about to spill the beans. But what does this really mean for William Ruto politically? Number one, to William Ruto, this portrays him as a man with Kenyan's blood on his hand and unfit to hold the office of the president. On the other hand, to Matiang'i, this depicts him as a whistleblower and not a victim, as the William Ruto Samoei camp is trying to portray him. In your own opinion, ladies and gentlemen, in the comment section below, let me see what is your thoughts on this move by Fred Matiang'i to spill the beans and reveal the real faces behind the most controversial extrajudicial killings in Kenya during the Ruto regime time. Let's keep the conversation going in the comment section. And if you have watched this video to this end, kindly subscribe if you are yet to do so, like this conversation, and also press that subscription button to help this channel reach a wider audience. And thank you for those who have already done that. Until next time, this is Siasa 254.
What the hell can this Rigathi Gachagua do that he can take power through an orthodox means? Gachagua must be arrested as early as tomorrow. Why is the country angry?
And I will not stay silent Rigathi Gachagua. Hiyo supermarket ambayo imeharibiwa jana ni supermarket imeajiri watu wa Embu.
Maduka kuvunjwa na tunasema yote ikome, na yule naibu rais wetu wa zamani ambaye alingatulia kwa ofisini kwa kufukuzwa akamatwe apelekwe mahakamani.
Hello and welcome. If there is one political mistake that William Ruto has ever done in his entire 5 years of politics, is the attempt to destroy and politically finish his former deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2022 general election, over 5 million votes from the Mount Kenya region helped William Samoei Ruto clinch the presidency, courtesy of Rigathi Gachagua's influence in the region. Today, as we speak, the same region is slipping away from the grip of William Samoei Ruto. Since his impeachment, Rigathi Gachagua's political muscle has not only remained intact, but it has grown from a regional mobilizer and is slowly transforming into a national figure. His name, as we speak now, carries weights across counties, and his messaging has grown beyond the traditional gamer stronghold. Listening to the members of parliament debate yesterday in parliament, one could clearly depict a well-choreographed plan being hatched from William Ruto's camp. The plan is not political, the plan is personal, and the aim is to arrest Rigathi Gachagua and link him to the 25th June Gen Z protest that resulted in massive destruction of properties countrywide.
The country is angry because the youth do not have a job. The country is angry because there's overtaxation. The country is angry because the government has refused to listen to them. Yesterday it was Raila. Today you are saying it's Gachagua. What I want to tell you is this: unless we address the core issues affecting this country.
Shame on you, Chief Justice Maraga. You're currently on pension paid by the government,
They pay for your cars, they pay for your gardener, they pay for your cook, and then you go to the streets to demonstrate and mislead our children, to destroy people's properties. Shame on you.
I want to say this in conclusion finally, that what happened yesterday was an attempt to take over power unconstitutionally, to do a coup on the governance, on the government of the Republic of Kenya. We lost an election as ODM. We disputed the election. We went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court told us you have lost the election. We abided by the decision of the Supreme Court. We never attempted to overthrow the government. What the hell can this Rigathi Gachagua do that he can take power through an unorthodox means? Gachagua must be arrested as early as tomorrow.
Yule ambaye anaandaa maandamano ni yule ambaye alikuwa naibu wetu wa rais akang'atuliwa kwa kufukuzwa ofisini kwa kuwa mkabila, na anajaribu kutumia kabila lake kuleta taharuki kwa kutisha na kuharibu mali ya wale ambao pengine nafikiria hawamuungi mkono kisiasa, ili atumie umwagikaji wa damu wa vijana wetu majenzi ili kunusura jahazi lake la kisiasa ambalo tayari limekwisha zama.
Kwa hivyo unasema maandamano haya si vijana ambao wanapanga, ila kuna wanasiasa ndani?
Si vijana ambao wanapanga maandamano. Na hii maandamano si kwamba ni maandamano ya vijana wa Gen Z. Hii ni maandamano ya wahuni ambao wamekuja kupora, kuharibu mali ya umma. Hakuna maandamano yanafanywa hadi usiku, saa 2 ya usiku, saa 3 ya usiku, na maandamano ambayo yamekita mizizi katika maeneo ya kati. Kule ndio mijengo mingi ya serikali imechomwa, mali ya wananchi imeporwa, maduka kuvunjwa, na tunasema yote ikome, na yule naibu rais wetu wa zamani ambaye aningatulia kwa ofisini kwa kufukuzwa akamatwe, apelekwe mahakamani.
In these demonstrations, ladies and gentlemen, the government conveniently allowed chaos to spiral in areas dominated by Kikuyu community. Like, for example, in Nyeri County, ladies and gentlemen, and specifically in Nyeri town, goons were allowed to loot an entire Naivas supermarket without the intervention of the police. For goons to be able to evacuate an entire Naivas stores without any police officer showing up, it tells you one thing, that this was not by accident, but it was by design. And as I always put it on this platform, that in politics, ladies and gentlemen, nothing is by coincidence. Nothing just happened like that. But everything is well planned and orchestrated. The government painted these protests as Kikuyu-led protests and violent in nature. But the question we are asking is, why will they do that? And why do they want to arrest Rigathi Gachagua and link him to the violence and destructions of property that happened on 25th June?
There was a great success in terms of the police work, even though the destruction that went all the way to almost midnight. All these goons who were brought all the way from Muranga, some of them were brought from Nyeri, some were brought from Kirinyaga, most of these goons were left in town. Some were left in Thika Road. And so as they were going back home, they caused immense havoc last night in Thika town, looting people's businesses, mugging people, robbing people in Thika town, and some on their way to Kajiado also caused a lot of havoc on their way. So, and the police were really overwhelmed because now they were doing some of this work in darkness, especially some who, on the onset of this darkness, they came back to the roads to try to rob motorists and other citizens. It has not been easy when such number of goons and criminals and thieves and thugs and robbers are concentrated in one area, collected by these politicians. It's not easy for the police officers to be able to maintain law and order.
Before we dive too deep into this conversation, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite you to subscribe to this channel. Take 1 second, hit the subscription button, smash that notification bell, and also press the like button. By doing like that, you help me to reach a broader audience, which is my main objective on this platform. And thank you so much for those who have already subscribed to the channel, because without you, ladies and gentlemen, this channel could not be where it is. A very big thank you from me and the entire team here at Siasa 254. First and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, The plan of the government is to set Rigathi Gachagua against the Kikuyu business community people by blaming him for the pains these businessmen have suffered in the destructions in Nairobi and other Kikuyu-based communities. We all understand, like, for example, in Nairobi, ladies and gentlemen, most of the businesses are owned by the Kikuyu. And so, by blaming Gachagua for the pain that was felt by the businessmen in Nairobi CBD and other Kikuyu counties, ladies and gentlemen, the government's intention is for the business people to stop supporting Rigathi Gachagua either financially or on the ground.
If this person speaks about, claims to speak about, for Mount Kenya people, this is the time we want to hear about those people who lost businesses in town, those people that have suffered, on speaker. And there is no question about it. Honorable Rigathi Gachagua must be arrested. And all the politicians that work under him, they should be arrested and investigated, because we saw some of them moving around and claiming that they are supporting this movement called Gen Z, which is a lie, Honorable Speaker. There is no movement called Gen Z. These are criminals. There is nothing like that. There is nothing called Gen Z, Honorable Speaker. Those are people who are hiding behind a generation.
But we are tired of your style of politics. You look at what has happened in Nairobi. Who is suffering today in Nyamakema? Who is suffering today in Kirinyaga Road, River Road? Sini watu wetu, jameni. So how can you claim to like your people, to support your people who you proudly call my people of Mount Kenya, and yet you are the one leading in destruction of their own businesses?
Secondly, the plan and the aim is to erode the credibility and legitimacy of the future Gen Z protests by labeling them as chaotic, destructive, and tribal in nature. By arresting a top political figure and linking him to the destructions on 25th June, the government intends to instill fear and suppress the youth movement. That, and this is the biggest objective of the government, ladies and gentlemen, in all this chaos in demonstrations. The aim is to divert the public attention away from the ongoing and rampant police brutalities in the country. The government knows very well that it has already lost public trust, and if not the entire trust, severely lost public trust. And instead of accountability, the government seeks this distraction of attention. By arresting Rigathi Gachagua, it will dominate the headlines and shift the attention of publics from questions on abductions, police shootings, and matters that have been orchestrated by the state. This is not just a political drama or a video, ladies and gentlemen, but it is a very dangerous game that is going to cost William Ruto the votes of Kenyans that made him the president in 2022. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to see what's your view on the plot to arrest Rigathi Gachagua. Why do you think the government want to arrest Rigathi Gachagua and link him to the destruction of property that happened on 25th June 2025? Let's see that in the comment section below. And if you're there and you are watching, you're yet to subscribe, kindly hit the subscription button, smash notification bell, and also like this video. Let me see you in our next video. Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Siasa 254, your #1 Kenyan YouTube political channel where we unpack Kenyan's biggest headlines. Now, on Sunday, 7th July 2025, hours just before the country marked the historic Sabasaba Day, there came a shocker, ladies and gentlemen. Raila Amolo Odinga, the face of Kenyan's opposition struggles for over 3 decades now, stood before the press and before the cameras and made a bold promise. He will join the people the next day at Kamkunji grounds for a peaceful demonstration during the Sabasaba Day. A symbolic return to the roots, a return to where it all began, ladies and gentlemen, in 1990, July 7th, when Raila Amolo Odinga and Kenneth Matiba, Charles Rubia, and others faced the iron grip of the then administration of Moi and demanded for the multi-party democracy in the country. But when the sun rose on Monday, the D-Day for the Sabasaba Day, the same ground where the fire of resistance was once lit stood empty. Raila Amolo Odinga did not turn up, not at 9 a.m., not at mid-noon, not during midday, not late midday or in the evening as he had promised.
Na wakati tumeweza kutoka kule juu upande wa Nairobi kule ndani, we were coming here because we were expecting to find a lot of people at this area, but right now we can see there's nobody here in this area. Ground iko very clear, totally clear. I think ni njia moja pia kuonyesha kwamba pia labda kuna vile kamechezwa hapa labda kuna vile kamechezwa hapa ya kwamba gate yote imefungwa, hakuna mahali pa access kuingia huku ndani, imefungwa kila mahali, ya kwamba hata wananchi wa kawaida hakuna mwenye anakuruhusiwa kuingia huku ndani, na hata vile inasemekana kwamba labda kuna function fulani ambayo labda ikiendelea katika hii sehemu. Unajua kama kuna sehemu ambayo kuna function imepangwa kuendelea, unapata kwamba kumetengenezwa vizuri, viti zimewekwa, vitu kama hizo, lakini huku haionyeshi ya kwamba labda kutakuwa na kitu chochote pale.
Kamukunji grounds, the heart of defiance and resistance, was left with smokes of fires and ashes. No Raila supporters, just silence. So what happened? At around 4 p.m., Raila Amolo Odinga appeared. He emerged not at Kamukunji, but at Serena Hotel with a press preview. There, ladies and gentlemen, with the cameras flashing and the journalists watching, Raila Amolo Odinga gave what Kenyans are now calling a lame excuse. He claimed that the police officers had barricaded major roads leading to Kamukunji grounds, and therefore he could not make it to Kamukunji grounds to mark the Sabasaba Historic Day.
Called this press conference in order to clarify where we are today. Yesterday, I did give an interview with the media and said that today, the 35th anniversary of Sabasaba, I was going to go to Kamukunji to join other Kenyans in commemorating this very important day. Unfortunately, as you all know, circumstances, today there are roadblocks all over town, which has made it difficult for people to move to Kamukunji. In the circumstances, I've decided therefore to talk to the media here at Serena.
Really? Remember, this is Raila Amolo Odinga we are talking about. The man who once faced life bullets. The man who was jailed for years without trial. You mean to tell us that after decades of Raila confronting the state head-on, that this time round he was blocked by a mere roadblock by the police? No. Kenyans are not buying into this time. And the question that is burning across social media and on the streets is very simple. Why did Raila lie to us? Has he joined the league of politicians who say one thing and do the opposite? Or has he become just like his old rival who has now turned the best ally, William Samoei Ruto? Now, before we dig too deep into this conversation, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite you to subscribe to this channel. Watching for the first time, subscription button, smash that notification bell, and you'll be able to be notified by YouTube when we create such a video and post. And also, you will help us reach a wider audience, which is our mission on this platform. And for those who have already subscribed, I say thank you so much, because without you guys, this channel could not be where it is right now. Now, reason number one why Raila Amolo Odinga failed to turn up at Kamukunji grounds to mark the Sabasaba Day is the fear of low turnout of people at the ground. Now, let's be honest. Raila's influence today is not what it used to be before he joined William Samoei Ruto. Today's Gen Z protests are organic in nature, leaderless, and are fueled by raw anger and not political loyalty. And since Raila has been recently seen warming up William Ruto's government, many people who used to support him are now feeling betrayed. So Raila Amolo Odinga may have feared that if he showed up at Kamukunji grounds, the crowds could probably be few or smaller, or it could be worse, openly defiant to him. Reason number 2, ladies and gentlemen, is the fear of humiliation and public rejection. Can you imagine Raila Amolo Odinga, the once beloved Baba, who being booed by the same people who once chanted his name with the tears in their eyes? For a man of his legacy, ladies and gentlemen, that wouldn't have been just a PR nightmare. It would have been a personal political strategy. So better to stay away than to face that kind of public rejection, ladies and gentlemen. Reason number 3, the ground at Kamukunji was already burning up in flames. The Gen Z protesters at Kamukunji grounds, ladies and gentlemen, had already lit up fires and barricaded the roads that were leading to Kamukunji Stadium, and were already engaging police in running battles hours before Raila's expected arrival time. It wasn't a peaceful gathering anymore, ladies and gentlemen. It was chaos. Maybe Raila Amolo Odinga, who is now more of a statesman than a street general, did not want to be caught up in the middle of the firestorm that he could not control. Reason number 4, Raila Amolo Odinga had nothing to tell the people of Kenya on Sabasaba Day. Absolutely nothing. Apart from the rhetoric stories of what happened on Sabasaba, Raila Amolo Odinga on that day, he had nothing to tell the people of Kenya, and that's why he did not turn up. For years, Raila Amolo Odinga has placed himself and positioned himself as the voice of the people, the one who speaks truth to power. But in 2025, power is no longer the enemy. Power is his friend. And William Ruto is his handshake partner and a political ally. So what could he probably have said to the young and angry, overtaxed young Kenyans? Let's resist the government? Oh no, which government? The one that he is currently now collaborating with ahead of 2027? And by the way, I'll be giving out details of Raila Ruto alliance in 2027 in my next video, so stay tuned. Raila Amolo Odinga, as we speak, ladies and gentlemen, is stuck between history and reality, between legacy and his alliances. He is stuck between the people who made him a hero and the politicians who now sees him as a strategic asset ahead of 2027. And when that moment came, he backed out quietly, silently, and by not telling the truth. In today's protests, the Gen Zs come out without Raila, and the protests continue to be more successful than what Raila used to lead in the past. Today, the opposition shoes that he wore once, a time in the past, has now been taken over by Rigathi Gachagua, and those shoes seems to be undersized for Rigathi Gachagua, in that he is doing far much better in the opposition than Raila Amolo Odinga. And perhaps this is just the bitter truth that Raila Amolo Odinga do not want to accept. Ladies and gentlemen, in the comment section below, let me see what's your take on the reasons why Raila Amolo Odinga in the first place declared that he was going to participate in peaceful demonstrations during Sabasaba. Was this a genuine will, or was it a way to sabotage the peaceful Gen Z demonstrations and pull the crowds from the CBD all the way to Kamkuji to get a political score for the government of the day. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jacob Nyende and this is Siasa 254, your #1 YouTube political channel where we unpack biggest political Kenyans headlines. Until next time, bye-bye.
During the 35th anniversary of Sabasaba, Kenyans from all walks of life led by Gen Zs, unarmed and peaceful, went to the streets. This is not the first demonstration that has happened in Kenya this year where lives have been lost and property destroyed. Unbeknown to these peaceful demonstrators, the tired regime of Ruto had a well-organized state-sponsored militia in cohort with the police and other state security agencies to maim, kill and destroy property and blame it on the Kikuyu community and specific leaders who are perceived unfriendly to this killer regime. This targeted profiling of the Kikuyu community and destruction of their specific business is an economic sabotage not new to the narrative of William Ruto. On the 30th day, this state-sponsored militia, under instructions and guidance from the police, were dropped in different places in the country, and mostly in the Mount Kenya region and other regions not perceived friendly to the government. They were strategically dropped past midnight, and then roadblocks were placed by the police while others was dropped early in the morning. The militia were procured by Ruto, governors and MPs allied to him. These regions include Nairobi, Kiambu, Kajiado, Kisii, Nyeri, Murang'a, Kiambu, Kirinyaga, Meru, Nyandarua, Kajiado, Kitengela, Ongata-Rongai, Machakos, Embu, and in Wote. They had clear instructions to loot and destroy specific properties under police supervision. A killer squad of 101 that works under the Director General of the National Intelligence Service, Nuruddin Haji, was armed with assault rifles and drove in a convoy of unmarked Subarus, shooting and killing innocent protesters aimlessly in the streets and estates. This squad in Subarus, hooded and masked against court orders, are disguising themselves as DCI's officers, yet we know they are not. In fact, I would like to clarify that the National Intelligence Service has procured Subarus to give an impression that this killer gang is from the DCI. The truth of the matter is that this has nothing to do with the DCI. This is the National Intelligence Service. And this squad of 101 people was formed when I was still in government. Officers were recruited from the Administration Police Unit for special training by NIS on abductions, killings, and cover-up. And this is a squad that is killing the people of Kenya. The killings and the business destruction pattern point to William Ruto's ethnic profiling narrative, which is a master with no rival. With a close coordination of PS Interior Raymond Omolo, this narrative was boosted online by state bloggers to spin the narrative. The Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen's public to shoot to kill order, coupled with assurances to police officers that the government will not cooperate with the investigators in police conduct, has emboldened security forces. Police officers are now on record threatening citizens who are in their homes, boasting of their license to kill, acting with a confidence that can only come from the highest echelons of power. Mr. Murkomen's admission that these are not just instructions from him but orders from above removes any ambiguity about where responsibility lies. It will be recalled that in the run-up to the 2007 general election and its aftermath, the narrative of 41 against 1 was a masterpiece of William Ruto. The target was profiling Kikuyus against the rest of the country. To a large extent, he succeeded, and every Kenyan knows what happened, and it is also fresh in his mind of the ICC ordeal still hanging on the neck of William Ruto today. We remind William Ruto that his ICC cases are not yet over. They have been paused after witnesses disappeared. and what he is pretending over are crimes under the Rome Statute. It is clear history is repeating itself, and the architect William Ruto is back on the deck. He is hell-bent to finish his unfinished business with the people of Mount Kenya, destroy their businesses and make them black sheep of Kenya. Despite this horrible experience, the people of Mount Kenya voted William Ruto to a man in 2022 general elections against the advice of President Uhuru Kenyatta, whom Mr. Ruto had branded as a drunkard and a useless leader. Today, the people of Kenya, and especially the Mount Kenya region, feel sorry that they did not heed to the advice of Uhuru Kenyatta. These state-sponsored militia were key in torching of various parts of the country with ease of police assistance to prefer terrorism charges on specific people from the Mount Kenya region. So far, about 50 young people are in courts in trumped-up charges of terrorism in scenarios of stage-managed crimes by the state. Again, this is a clear onslaught on the Kikuyu nation. A case in point, when a police station in Mawego in Homa Bay County was torched, the suspects for that particular crime have been charged with arson. But when a police station is alleged to have been torched in Kiambu, suspects from the Kikuyu nation are charged with terrorism charges. This is serious ethnic profiling. Last night, in Juja and Kirinyaga, these state-sponsored militia invaded various businesses. Luckily, in Kirinyaga, after Wananchi went to Sagada police station and they refused to act, saying they had orders from above not to interfere, the people organized themselves and repressed the militia. Mr. Ruto's ethnic profiling has led to the destruction of the foreign properties belonging to the people of Mount Kenya. Maguna supermarkets in Meru, Kahawa West and Murang'a. Nice supermarkets, hotel and petrol station, and nice city in Mwea in Kirinyaga. County supermarkets in Kabati and Kirinyaga. Power Star supermarkets, Quick Mart supermarkets in Eastern Bypass, Shell and Totomin markets in Roiru, Chill Post Hotel in Gong, Boju Shop in Keserian, Homegrown Supermarket among others, and the Family Bank in Kahawa and Roiru. Notably, in Meru, these state-sponsored militia tried to attack Meru Dairy Processing Plant and were repulsed by workers. In Nyeri, they further tried to attack Wakulima Dairy in Mukurweini, and the attack failed. We urge our businesses to heighten security surveillance on their business premises and production lines, especially the KTDA, processing factories, among others. We take note that in Meru, on Sunday, the 6th of July, at an event attended by CS Kipchumba Murkomen, the MP for Bori, Mugambire Dikire, indicated that a supermarket would be attacked the following day. As sure as December 25 is Christmas, and true to his word, Maguna supermarket was torched by the state-sponsored militia, which the MP was private to. Why hasn't Mugambire Dikire been arrested? How did he know that a supermarket would be attacked? This is selective justice. The evidence that these militias are state-sponsored is plain for all to see. Videos circulating widely show police officers not merely failing to intervene, but actively transporting armed groups who proceed to unleash destruction with apparent impunity. Uniformed officers have been seen standing guard as these groups rampage. They are in action and a stark contrast to strong statements being made by government. In Nyeri, journalists were attacked by these militias in the presence of the police. It is well documented. This is a clear indicator that Ruto is working with governors and MPs allied to him to destroy businesses owned by the Kikuyu, the Meru, and the Embu, and blame it on people who don't support his administration. This is a tactic that was used by the colonialists with collaborators who searched earth policy and torched buildings and businesses and blamed it on the Mau Mau. This divide and rule tactic will not work, Mr. Ruto. We know that in Meru, they want to use this mayhem to blame Mithika Linturi. In Embu, they have already blamed Mkonji Gitonga. In Ketengela, Iron Gong, they want to target Senator Seki and MP Onesmus Ngogoyo. In Nyeri, they are trying to haunt Honorable Kagusha. And in Kirinyaga, they are targeting Senator Murango. We want to remind President Ruto that it is not the Kikuyus who want him out of office. It is the entire people of Kenya. Kenyans are suffering equally across the country. That is why Kenyans have said, if you, Mr. William Ruto, believe that it is the Kikuyus who want you out, then all Kenyans are Kikuyus. I want to thank the people of Kenya for standing out against this tribal profiling of the Kikuyu. The people of Kenya yesterday did wonderful by saying that the Kikuyus should not be profiled. This morning, I've seen Ruto quivering and wailing in uncontrollable anger. Mr. Ruto, excessive anger is not a solution. I want, with a lot of humility, to advise you to stop being angry. That will not help. You need to know what you need to do because you have not been listening to the people of Kenya. The people of Kenya are more angry than you are. They are angry because you have overtaxed them. There is wanton corruption. There is abductions and extrajudicial killings. There is ethnic profiling and other ills that bedevil your administration. If you want to be calm, please abolish the housing levy and give dignity to the payslip. I have heard you saying that you cannot give jobs to the young people. Please restore the dignity of the payslip. Restore the capacity of the middle class. The middle class will give jobs to these young people. Stop killing and profiling the young people. Listen to them. Stop abductions and extrajudicial killings. Abolish, disband the killer squad of 101 officers at Nuruddin Haji. Give hustlers the jobs that you promised them. Mr. William Ruto, you are the one who promised. You cannot cry today that you have no solution, saying that other presidents have not been able to do it. You are the one who promised these young people. Stop police brutality. Stop abductions and illegal detentions. Get the hustlers from the bottom of the economic pyramid as you promised. Yes, Mr. President, we agree there were other presidents before you, as you have rightly stated, and true, they never went through what you are experiencing today. May it please you to know that the reason why Kenyans rarely had problems with them, Mwai Kibaki and Uhuru Kenyatta were guided by the Constitution and the rule of law. They did not capture our constitutional institutions to work for them, instead of working for Kenyans. They never killed children. They never attempted to build churches in State House. They never organized militias to destroy people's property and kill them. That is why you have a problem. And we also want to remind you that Mwai Kibaki had a difficult time from you, William Ruto. Videos are everywhere. You cannot say that Mwai Kibaki did not face resistance. It's on record that you gave hell to President Kenyatta for 5 years. So it is hypocritical for you to allege that Mwai Kibaki and Uhuru Kenyatta had a very easy time. Most of the problems Mwai Kibaki and Uhuru Kenyatta had came from yourself, and it's on record. We want to advise you that the one-term movement is not getting you out of power outside the Constitution. Mr. President, nobody wants to throw you. Nobody wants to overthrow your government. Nobody wants you out of power through unconstitutional means. Mr. President, I and the people we work with are on record. We want to remove you from State House through the ballot in 2027. This narrative you are creating that there is an attempt to overthrow your government is for you to have the opportunity to use the Terrorism Act to profile communities and to persecute leaders who are opposed to your administration. Please relax. We want you to serve your one term. Nobody wants you out of government unconstitutionally. Nobody has any plan to overthrow your administration, Mr. President. We want to face you on the ballot in August 2027. So just relax and stop crying wolf that anybody wants you out of office unconstitutionally. There is no leader here who is planning a coup, and none has the capacity. And nobody is interested. The leaders in this country and in indeed 95% of the Kenyan population want to humiliate you at the ballot. They will relish that moment. None of them would want you to go out through any other method, unless, of course, you decided to resign on your own volition. So please stop creating this narrative. This narrative is to enable you to use anti-terrorism law to persecute leaders and to persecute the Kikuyu community. If you speak out online, Mr. President, you want to use the Terrorism Act to harass people. If you dare challenge your administration, you want to use the Terrorism Act to deal with people who are opposed to your administration. My fellow Kenyans, let us not be deceived. William Ruto has stripped away even the pretense of democracy. What we are witnessing is not the rule of law, but the rule of fear. This is not the behavior of a government that serves its people. This is the machinery of outright dictatorship. Finally, I want to announce to the people of Kenya that tonight I will be traveling to the United States of America to talk to the Kenyans in diaspora and the international community about the state of the nation. I would have wanted to stay in the country at this very difficult time when our people are under siege, but I have engagements that I'm not able to postpone. I have been threatened by people close to William Ruto, who called some of my people today, that they will want to stop me from leaving the country. I have no problem. If you want to come and arrest me at the airport, as you are threatening us, you can go ahead. I don't have a problem. You cannot sell fear to us. You know, even if you sold us fear, we cannot buy. You know, and therefore, as I'm out of the country, unless I'm stopped from going, and if I'm stopped from going, I'm still okay. I'll be here because this is my country. We have made sufficient arrangements with other leaders in the united opposition to create a pool of lawyers to come in through for our young people who are being persecuted on trumped-up charges of terrorism. And I want to explain. I have heard the president saying that people have attacked police stations and the law courts. It was all stage managed by the MP for Kikuyu. How do you explain that people can walk into a police station and they are not armed and take over the police station from armed police officers? How do you go to the courts that are guarded by armed police officers and touch them? All these attacks of vital installations were stage managed by William Ruto through Kimani Ichung'wah to create the opportunity to prefer charges against people using the Anti-Terrorism Act. That is the reality. So nobody has attacked any police station. They were all stage managed by government. And what is happening is history is repeating itself. This is exactly what Moi did in the 80s against the Kikuyu community. After the abortive 1982 coup, he used sedition laws and the clandestine Mwa Kenya movement to profile the community and hold people into court, and they'll be taken by Bernard Chunga after 5 p.m. This is history repeating itself. I want to ask our people to be calm, to be cautious, looking at the scenario of what is happening and what William Ruto has planned. I want to ask my children, my sons and daughters, to consider applying the next onslaught against the President William Ruto by getting IDs and registering as voters so that they can deal with William Ruto on the ballot. Because I fear for them. Anytime they go out to the streets, they are killed like chicken. I would like to preserve to us these children. We would like to live with them. We would like to see them grow. And when we look at the desperation of William Ruto and the brutal force he is using against these children and the use of state militias to attack them, I would like to plead with them to consider to join us, we in the opposition, by registering as voters. And in 2027, we'll be able to get rid of President William Ruto. William Ruto, finally, let me ask you a question. The Kikuyu nation, the Mount Kenya people, you call tribalists every day. These people you are waging war against, their businesses, are the same people who voted for you, even after what you did to them in 2007. They forgave you and considered you as a person they can elect as president. You have turned against the community. You are trying to mobilize other Kenyans to profile them and to fight them, but they have refused. These same people from Mount Kenya have the capacity to support somebody else. It must not be you. And they proved that they are not tribal by voting for you when you are Kalenjin. They can vote for a Kamba. They can vote for a Kisi. They can vote for a Luya. They can vote for a Maasai. That sense of entitlement that you are having to the Mount Kenya vote is misplaced. They voted for you, yes. You betrayed them. You turned against them. They don't have to vote for you again. Please stop persecuting them into submission. They will not submit to your brutality, to your vicious attack against them and their leaders. That I want to tell you for free today. I've listened to you talking with a lot of anger, calling them tribalists. They are not. How can they be tribalists when they voted for you and you are not one of them? But you don't have a sense of entitlement that they must vote for you. But you don't have a sense of entitlement that they must vote for you. You know what you have done to them and why they have reacted the way they have. And I want to assure you, you cannot scare them into submission. Even if you jail them, they will not submit. These are seasoned descendants of the freedom fighters, and they cannot be intimidated. So let me encourage my leaders here as I go away to remain strong, to remain focused, and to speak for the people of Kenya. I am I have a lot of gratitude to the Honorable Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka and Eugene Wamalwa, who have been caught the whole of yesterday and today, standing strong and defending our young people who have been framed and charged with treason. For those two leaders, I want to give them the gratitude of my community and our leadership. They have come through for a community when it's under siege, and we are indeed very, very grateful. I want to ask our leaders here to be vigilant and to continue speaking out to the people of Kenya. Should the situation get out of hand and I need to cut my trip short and come back to join the other leaders in defending our people and speaking for them, I will gladly do so. Thank you very much.
Good. That's comprehensive.
I don't think iko maswali hata kidogo.
Labda ile wapi ya Kameme iko Nairobi.
Sasa ile kitu important yenye Ruto anaweza kufanya ni kunyang'anya Babu Owino security. Na mahali inaelekea sisi wenyewe ndio security wa Babu Owino. Na tukisikia Babu Owino anakohoa tu ama kitu yoyote imemfanya, utakuwa responsibility ya kujibu.
Why did President William Ruto withdraw Babu Owino's security details after the MP was cheered by the Gen Z protesters in Nairobi? Is this just politics, or is Babu Owino now a real threat to the presidency in 2027? Let us analyze this. Why is Babu Owino sending shockwave to State House and giving William Ruto sleepless nights? What does this rising star then mean to Raila Amolo Odinga's succession politics in Luo Nyanza and the Gen Z politics and the leadership in the country, and also the Nairobi's gubernatorial seat battle in 2027? Ladies and gentlemen, while the Gen Zs were protesting in Nairobi yesterday, Babu Owino was welcomed like a hero, as you can see here in this video. This video alone, ladies and gentlemen, has sent shockwaves to William Ruto and camp and his ally, and they have gone ahead to withdraw Babu Wino's security. But what does the supporters of Babu Wino say about this?
Ana uliapia kwa maandamano na ukakua. Nimesikia security yako Ruto ametoa. Ati sasa ile kitu important yenye Ruto anaweza kufanya ni kunyang'anya Babu Wino security. Sasa wewe Ruto, mimi nauliza wewe, ni kama unyang'anye Raila Odinga security. Unajua siku nyingine ulikuwa umesema tunyang'anye baba security. Tukakwambia chukua yote, tutalinda baba. Sisi wenyewe ndio security wa baba. Na mahali inaelekea sisi wenyewe ndio security wa Babu Owino. Na tukisikia Babu Owino anakohoa tu ama kitu yoyote imemfanya, utakuwa responsibility ya kujibu. Utuambie, nataka Ruto atuambie ni katiba iko wapi kiongozi akienda maandamano ananyang'anywa security wake. Administrator ya Ruto pamoja na huyu Mkalenji ni internal security. Nani anaitwa Murkomen. Hizo vitu mnafanya nonsense. Fanyeni kitu ingine. Sisi vijana wa kijiji tutangoja Babu. Tunajua mko na nia mbaya na Babu. Tunajua mnaumwa kwa sababu Babu alikataa kuwa support.
William Ruto is afraid of Babu Wino. Number one is of course the Raila Molo Odinga's succession and the Luo Nyanza politics. We all understand that for years the Luo Nyanza politics has been controlled by one man, Raila Molo Odinga, and with the growing influence of Babu Wino and the oncoming 2020 general election, Ruto is afraid of Babu Wino because he is banking on the Luo vote, and not only just the Luo vote, but William Ruto is actually banking on the ODM-based supporters' votes to couple up with his own home votes to make it to the second term in 2027. So by Babu Wino emerging as the alternative for Raila Odinga, and we all know that Babu Wino has been very vocal, saying that he cannot support William Ruto, and that for any person to be able to support William Ruto, then he has to suppress his brain cells.
Sio ni bed based. Mimi nilikuwa nikikampenia baba Raila Molo Odinga. Si ni kweli? Lakini ili usupport Zakayo lazima ususpend brain cells. Siwezi suspend my brain cells. Hapo niliambia baba, hapo naye siwezi mimi nakuheshimu, mimi nilikukampenia, lakini siwezi support serikali ambayo inadhulumu maisha ya wananchi ya Kenya.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2027 is approaching, and we have seen the Raila Molo Odinga that people always called him Baba because he used to fight for the rights of Kenyans and defend them whenever the government was oppressing them, is now in bed-based government with William Ruto. And now the people, the supporters of Raila Odinga, a majority of them are not for the bed-based government. And therefore, they have been thinking of who can we follow, who can we revolve around now that Baba is in bed-based government with William Ruto. They first went to Orengo, but Orengo surrendered and betrayed the people. But now by Babu Wino emerging again, this is not just something that William Ruto can be comfortable with. Reason number two, ladies and gentlemen, is because of the Gen Z politics and leaderships. Leadership, I mean. We all know that the Gen Z is going to be a very critical player in determining who becomes the president in 2027. Because remember, the Gen Zs will even go ahead, apart from themselves deciding who to vote for, most of them will control their parents to also vote where they want to vote. And therefore, Babu Wino, the way he was welcomed by the protesters who are the Gen Zs, it means that he can rally them towards the cause. And if he is not supporting William Ruto, then it means that it's going to spoil for William Ruto and Raila Odinga. And the last reason, ladies and gentlemen, why I think that William Ruto withdrew the security of Babu Owino is because of the Nairobi politics. In the last election, ladies and gentlemen, William Ruto became the president of the Republic of Kenya because he was voted in by the Kikuyus, who were the majorities in the city. You cannot become a president who cannot command the capital city. For you to be the president, you have to make sure that you win the support of Nairobi County. And therefore, with the falling Sakaja, Ruto is in panic because Babu Owino's influence in Nairobi has grown beyond any other person's stoppage. Nobody can stop him at this time. And this gives William Ruto sleepless nights, ladies and gentlemen, because he wants to clinch on Nairobi when he succeeds to go for his second term. So the politics of Nairobi, the Sakaja, and Babu Owino is making William Ruto scared. And that's why he is trying to intimidate Babu Owino by withdrawing his security. And like Okanga says, that even if he withdrew the entire security, then the people of Nairobi will become the security personnel and details for one Babu Owino. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the reasons why I think the security of the MP Babu Owino was withdrawn. In the comment section, let me see what you think about the growing influence of Babu Owino not only in the city, but also in the Luonyat. Do you think Babu Owino can become the successor of Raila Odinga? Can he become the kingpin in waiting for the Nyanza region? Because Orengo has surrendered to William Ruto. Raila surrendered, but Babu Owino is still standing. Let me see your take in the comment section, ladies and gentlemen. And until next time in our next video, this is Siasa 254. Subscribe, like, and comment to support us to reach a wider audience. Until next time, bye-bye.
President Ruto says we have no plan. We have a plan to send him home. It's a very important plan in the whole matrix.
And then what?
We have plans to restore the dignity of the payslip. We have plans to restore the health systems. We have plans to restore the education system. We have planned to have justified taxation and proper utilization of collected taxes. But all those things we have plans to stop abductions. We have plans to stop extrajudicial killings. All those things, Michelle, cannot happen when William Ruto is in office because he's the one who has messed the country. All his plans are responsible for the shit we are in as a country, for the hole we are in as a country. For those plans to take place, plan number one is William Ruto must exit the space, and then all the other plans can work. And that is why he says we have no plan, because the plan that we have is to exit him. Ordinarily, he wouldn't like it, and I don't want to blame me for it. But I want to say we have plans, but it's a prerequisite for all these plans to work. For us to stop corruption, for us to stop tribal appointments, for us to restore the dignity of the payslip, for us to restore education, the university financing model that can work, for us to restore health care and make sure that things are working, President William Ruto must be sent home. That is our plan. That is a plan of Gen Z. Indeed, it's a plan by the people of Kenya. As we go around the country, I heard him today crying about one term. There's nothing he can do. Okay. That is a clarion call, one term. We must have reasonable taxation. Michelle, the housing levy. Nobody wants government to construct houses for you. That's not the work of government. The work of government, Michelle, is to do roads, water, electricity, sewage, and create a good environment by provision of security. It's not the work of government to build houses. Michelle, you'll build your own house, depending on your capacity and your ability, you know? So we are taxing people money to go and build houses that they don't need. Nobody is interested in that housing program. So that one we are going to scrap. We are going to scrap that the housing levy so that we start giving a relief to the payslip. The issue of NSSF, it's something that needs to be discussed. You cannot impose, force people to save, because people are saving on their own, by the way. And saving is an individual decision, Michelle. You may want to live your good life now when you are young and energetic, and you cannot force people to save. So that is something else we are going to look into. Again, Michelle, we want to tax people, and people have no problem with the taxation. What people want is proper utilization of their taxes. We don't want to tax people to go and put up, renovate state house and lodges for William Ruto. Those state houses have been there since 1900. He is spending billions of shillings renovating that state house like he's going to live there forever, or like it's his personal house. It isn't. We are saying that our administration will have reasonable taxation and will do proper utilization of those taxes to the benefit and satisfaction of the people of Kenya. Right. So that I explain to you exactly what is happening. William Ruto was elected by 47% of the people from the Mount Kenya region. Along the way, he betrayed the mountain people, he misused them, he lost their trust, and they abandoned him. He has tried every trick in the book to get them back, and it has become difficult. He has spent billions of shillings in empowerment programs, buying leaders and all that. It has become impossible. So a plot was hatched by Kipchumba Murkomen and a few other people surrounding the president to create havoc within the Mount Kenya region and then blame it on leaders who are popular in the region. This is what happened, Chair. How do you explain police stations are manned by police officers who are armed? They are attacked by people who are unarmed. They overpower them, take over a police station and touch it. It's a movie. No shooting, nothing. No resistance. Some people just walk into a police station, take it over and touch it. That is, and you are not even told the inmates who are in the cells, were they released or not? There is nothing. It was staged managed. This is what happened. Let me give you an example in Kikuyu. The office of the DCC was touched. The law courts were touched. They are guarded by police. Somehow the police were not there, and the touching went on. Then the leader of majority says, some gangs wanted to attack his father, who is 101 years, but he was not attacked. It was just an attempt, but he was not attacked. Yet the police station, the law courts are attacked. Higher, you go to Nyeri. They ban Naiva supermarket of some fellow there in Nyeri town. But the supermarket owned by the member of parliament for Kenny, there is an attempted attack, but it is not attacked because it is personal. It is not meant to be attacked. It's just something you are trying to do. Then you find here in Nairobi, at night, all businesses owned by people from the Mount Kenya region are attacked, okay? You find that several businesses are attacked. Police are there. Nobody is arrested. Nobody is stopped. It's simply an onslaught on the community. Then the CS Interior comes and says, the goons in Nairobi were stranded, they were from Murang'a, they were from Nyeri, they were from Kirinyaga, trying to profile a community to show that this issue that happened in Nairobi was done by the people from the Kikuyu nation, okay? Then the following day, go to parliament. The scheme was turn the people of Central Kenya against Rigathi Gachagua and other leaders who are popular in the region. That is why they attack in Olkalau. People have told us in Olkalau, all the goons who are there, none of them is a local. Yet they did it, police never did any action. This thing was managed by government to target Kikuyu business premises. And then later, Moses Wetangula allow a debate in parliament for 2 hours to blame Rigathi Gachagua, to blame John Medhu, to blame John Kagushia, to blame Jane Kehara, to blame Mukonji, to blame all leaders who are popular in Central Kenya region, hoping and believing that the people of Central Kenya can believe that their leaders who are very popular and who are loved by the people had organized violence against them. This is what has happened. The people of that region are very enlightened as we speak today. And William Ruto drove a narrative and made the people of Central Kenya hate Uhuru Kenyatta. He said he's a drunkard, he's useless, he's this and that. And the people of Mount Kenya, I included, believed him. We turned against Uhuru Kenyatta and hated him. The people of that region have made a decision. They will never hate their leader. They will never turn against their leader. They have seen through that scheme that was done on Wednesday to target their businesses and then try to blame their leaders. Yeah, you know, even they were trying to say today, Kipchumba Murkomen was telling DCI, go and arrest Rigathi Gachagua, arrest Gakuya, arrest Major Dong, so that the Kikuyu people can believe that Rigathi Gachagua and Major Dong and Gakuya are the ones who touched property belonging to the Kikuyu. The Kikuyu people are very intelligent. William Ruto, the people see through you. You came and conned them. You turned them against their own son, Uhuru Kenyatta. You are not going to do it again. This time, they have seen through you. The government touched and raided businesses belonging to Kikuyu people on Wednesday, deliberately, under police guard, so that they can come and take the popular leaders in the region and blame them, hoping that they can hate Rigathi Gachagua, they can hate Medho, they can hate the other leaders, and prove back to William Ruto. William Ruto, let me tell you,
but there's been allegations,
whatever little chance that existed, that the mountain could ever listen to you, the events of Wednesday, of looting businesses owned by the Mount Kenya people, of torching them, of getting police to supervise the looting of their businesses, and then trying to blame their sons through parliament. That thing in parliament, it was a charity because, Michelle, if Rigathi Gachagua has broken the law, it is not parliament to say. You know, if Medho has broken the law, it is not parliament to say. It is not parliament to ask police to take action. If Kimani Ichung'wah, his father, was to be attacked, does he go to cry in parliament, or he goes and record a statement and say, Michelle or so-and-so came to attack my father? That was a stage-managed thing in parliament to try to persuade the people of Mount Kenya that all the businesses that were looted at night under police supervision, on the instructions of the government, they wanted to blame me and other people. We see through you, and I've told them, come and arrest me today. Go and arrest Gakuya, go and arrest Major Dong.
So you don't fear arrest?
We don't fear the arrest, but all I can tell them, the people of our region and our supporters kept quiet when they removed us from office. I am a very peaceful man. I ask my people, please don't take any action. You are very unhappy with what William Ruto has done to us as a community by taking our seat, by embarrassing us. Please just sing. But I am saying, I no longer have the control of my supporters. They are angry, and any attempt to harass us, any attempt to intimidate us, will be dealt with by the people. I can tell you, he conned bishops, he conned reverends, he conned pastors, he conned all of us. He cannot do it a second time. This whole thing of Wednesday was a scheme by William Ruto to touch businesses belonging to the Mount Kenya people, loot them, and then try to blame it on their leaders so that they can hate us the way they hated Uhuru Kenyatta. Evidence do you need, Michelle? These businesses were touched when police are watching. These policemen belong to the government. What other evidence do you need? I'm asking, since Wednesday, Michelle, how many goons have been arrested? Protesters in Kerugoya were arrested, 25 are taken to court. The goons who touched a supermarket in Kerugoya have not been arrested. The goons who touched things in Nyeri have not been arrested. The people who touched things here in Nairobi and looted, they have not been arrested because they cannot be arrested because they were sponsored by the government. And everybody knows. And I want to tell my friend William Ruto, when you are in a hole, my brother, you stop digging. Don't dig deeper. You have persecuted our community. You have...